actually paid, although we haven't seen confirmed numbers, just kind of screenshots that I haven't been able to independently verify. But ultimately, as expected, at least a little part of it was a shit show, because at one point, as documented on the billions of phones that were out filming it that were not part of the live stream, it appears that someone threw champagne on the new lovely couple, at which point the man marrying them, that definitely does not have a criminal record, just starts wailing on this guy. It also appears that someone else threw a punch. And so, hey, there was that. And here's the thing, you can love them or hate them, but what they are doing is definitely the next stage of what we've seen in reality television. The next step in shamelessly monetizing and storyboarding one's life for entertainment. And here's the thing, people are gonna spend their money however they spend their money. That part, it doesn't bother me, right? How other people spend their money, I can mock it, but I'm not gonna get like outraged. The thing I will say I do get concerned about with situations like this, and they are by no means the only entertainers that are guilty of this. It's one of those situations where you don't know what's real or not. And I don't mean like the wedding or the feelings behind it, but that a fight broke out. Right, like according to one of the reports on this, right, reportedly the guy officiating the wedding isn't actually registered in Nevada. Right, my personal opinion is this is all fake and it's just meant to make money. But it's created a situation where you don't know if, let's say instead of the guy throwing champagne on the couple, maybe he hits Jake or he hits Tana. It's like it creates a situation where you don't know if it's real. Right, is it part of the storyline or is it a crime? Right, a question we have unfortunately had to ponder a number of times whenever we're talking about any of these internet stories. But whether it is to love it or to hate it, the demand is obviously there. So there was that. Then marijuana users of New York rejoice, but also maybe rejoice a little bit in quiet. Today, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has signed a bill that decriminalizes marijuana use. And the reason I'm saying maybe rejoice in quiet is because it's just been decriminalized, right? You can still be hit with a fine, but it won't be an offense that gets you jail time. And on the national stage, this is somewhat notable because we're kind of almost at the halfway point, if you want to call it that. At this point, on the national stage, 11 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized marijuana, and New York and 15 others have decriminalized. Then, very quickly, because a number of people sent this to me and were like, can you believe this, Phil? The short answer here is yes, 100%. It's a piece from the New York Post titled, "Sorry, Childless Millennials, Going to Disney World is Weird." And over the weekend, it felt like everyone and their brother, like they took turns dunking on the New York Post, and you had counter articles being written of this is why it's actually for childless millennials. My response to why I did believe that this was a thing was because this article was obviously rage-bait. It's a polarizing take on something that's not all too serious, where yes, some stick in the muds will be like, yeah, those stupid millennials without kids. And then everyone else could be like, what the hell are you talking about? Meanwhile, they're linking out to the article. And at the end of the day, site traffic is site traffic. My opinion on this is not a unique one. I think that adults are just grown-up children. And if you don't have anything in your life that sparks that childlike wonder and joy, then you are just slowly dying. I mean, yes, we are all slowly dying, but life isn't the beginning or the end, it's all the stuff in between. If you don't have something in your life that makes you stupid happy or puts a smile on your face from your childhood, I feel like that's maybe a slightly lesser experience. For some people, it's Star Wars, others, comic book stuff, for me, Pokemon. In my opinion, life's too serious and horrible otherwise. Also, when it comes to Disneyland, have you seen their prices recently? If there was a time to more justifiably experience Disney World, it's before you also have to pay for the kids. And as far as those childless millennials maybe making your experience with your family worse, no one made you have those kids, and it doesn't give you the ability to decide what is okay for people that don't have them. And I say that as a father of two. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today in Awesome, brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Oh, the first time you kill that bastard, it feels so good. For those that don't know, Raid Shadow Legends is a brand new collection RPG. It's out on smartphones right now, and fantastically, it is totally free. And it has exactly what you want out of a game like this. It's got awesome 3D graphics, an amazing storyline, giant boss fights, PvP battles, and more than 400 champions to collect and customize. And I know that I say this every time, but I really didn't expect all of this out of a mobile game. But just going through it and seeing the crazy levels of details on these champions. You also don't just have to take my word for it. Raid has almost 10 million players worldwide that have already downloaded it in just the past 3 months, and an almost perfect score in the Play Store. And so, if you're ready to join in on the fun, just go to the description of this video, download Raid using my specific link that I have down there. When you do that, you'll get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion to start your journey. The game is growing super fast, and the highly anticipated new update is now live. And so now there's a new awesome loyalty rewards program for new players. You can get a new daily login reward for the first 90 days in the game. Also, if you want to play with me, I literally just made a clan. It's called DeFranco. In-game, my name is Philly DeFranco. But yeah, main point, click the link, check it out, and have some fun. And the first bit of awesome is we put out a new social Solo deep dive news video. It's on this thing that you may have never heard of. It's this controversy inside of the horse racing industry. I will give you a heads up, parts of it are hard to watch, but I think it's definitely an important viewing. Then, in less serious awesome, if you have an Amazon Prime membership, I cannot recommend it enough. At the end of last week, they put out a new series called The Boys. It's based on the comic book. And I say this as someone that very much enjoyed the comic book. I love this show. The worst part of the series, in my opinion, is that it's only 8 episodes. Then we got the season 9 teaser promo for American Horror Story. We got the trailer for Wu-Tang and American Saga. We got Alison Brie exploring ASMR. We got a trailer for the anthology series Modern Love. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, really anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. And then let's talk about what happened in Moscow this weekend. On Saturday, there were major protests about upcoming elections in the city's council called the Moscow City Duma. On September 8th, all 45 seats in the City Duma will be up for re-election, and candidates opposing Putin and the United Russian Party tried to secure spots on the ballot. But the Election Commission raised the number of petition signatures required to appear on the ballot to 5,000, which many critics say was a move made in order to block more opposition candidates. Because, according to Vladimir Kara-Murza, a politician in Russia's People's Freedom Party, by signing these petitions, Russians are, quote, volunteering one's personal information for the government's database of opposition supporters. Now still, the opposition claims that most of their candidates did get enough signatures, but the Election Commission is claiming otherwise, saying the signatures contained irregularities like misprints, but Kara-Murza says that those misprints were created by the commission themselves. And reportedly, when candidates tried to appeal, the requests were ignored, so the opposition candidates remained barred from appearing on the ballots, which is what led to the huge demonstrations in the city. There was a protest last week with reports saying as many as 20,000 attended, and then there was a protest that happened this weekend. According to officers, over 3,500 people participated in these protests against the Election Commission's decision, but you also have the Associated Press saying aerial footage shows there could have been as many as 8,000 attendees. Attendees chanting things like Russia will be free and Putin is a thief. But this protest also turned violent. Officers said that the event was unauthorized, and footage shows them pushing protesters and beating them with batons. OVD Info, a political persecution monitoring organization, saying that 77 people were injured in the demonstrations, over 1,300 people were detained, with 265 being held overnight. And according to the reports here, this is the highest number of people detained at a rally in Moscow in a decade. And notably, some of those detained included people seeking to run for the City Duma. Also notably, the protest was called for by prominent opposition activist Alexei Navalny, who was actually arrested on Wednesday and has been sentenced to 30 days for calling for an anti-government protest. And that arrest and the whole situation became even more concerning because yesterday he was reportedly taken to the hospital after falling ill after alleged chemical exposure. He had severe facial swelling and skin redness, his spokesperson saying it appeared that it was an allergic reaction, but Navalny has no known allergies. According to the doctor who treated him, he was diagnosed with contact dermatitis, though the substance that caused it is still unknown. She also says that the chemical tests being run on him have not been sufficient and disagrees with Alexei being sent back to prison. And in a Facebook post writing, I have clearly stated that I am categorically against such an emergency discharge of Alexei, and adding that they were sending him back to where it appears that he came in contact with this unknown substance. Which, regarding that note, some reports are claiming reason to believe that he could have been poisoned, but it's actually Navalny himself and his team are reportedly not crediting foul play, instead citing poor conditions in his jail cell as he experienced the same thing when he previously was held in the same cell. Regarding this whole incident, a spokesperson for the US Embassy in Moscow tweeted about the incident saying, detention of over 1,000 peaceful protesters in Russia and use of disproportionate police force undermine rights of citizens to participate in the democratic process. Free elections and peaceful assembly are guaranteed in the Russian Constitution and Universal Declaration of Human Rights. But ultimately, that is where we are with this story right now. It'll be interesting to see what happens from here with Navalny, with the movement, with the protests. Will we see them continue? Will we see them grow? Or will we see a crackdown? And then let's talk about this big news around Donald Trump. And we are going to get to kind of the news of the day. Everyone's been running the Donald Trump, Representative Cummings, Al Sharpton story. We're going to touch on that, but regarding the way that the coverage happens, it often feels like one of the most important things to do nowadays is if there's something like a, oh, can you believe he said story, we need to look at, well, what else is happening sort of news. And so if you do that today, actually one of the most meaningful stories is around Dan Coats. He's the Director of National Intelligence, soon to be former as of August 15, and he has now announced that he is stepping down from this position, a position where he oversaw the nation's 17 intelligence agencies. And notably here, in that position, Coats was someone that would disagree and contradict the president. I mean, just a few of the notable moments after that 2018 summit where President Trump met Vladimir Putin. Trump questioned whether Russia had actually interfered. Following that, Coats released a statement saying that the intelligence community has been clear in our assessments of Russian meddling in the 2016 election and their ongoing pervasive efforts to undermine our democracy, and we will continue to provide unvarnished and objective intelligence in support of our national security. Another time, you might remember, Trump said that North Korea was no longer a threat, but in January, when Coats was testifying in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee, he said, quote, "We currently assess that North Korea will seek to retain its weapons of mass destruction capabilities and is unlikely to completely give up its nuclear weapons weapons and production capabilities because its leaders ultimately view nuclear weapons as critical to regime survival. Adding, our assessment is bolstered by our observations of some activity that is inconsistent with full denuclearization. And notably, the person that Trump is replacing Coates with is House Republican John Ratcliffe. And if that name sounds familiar, like maybe you've heard it recently, it was because he was one of the outspoken Republicans during the Mueller hearings, which didn't surprise many in the moment. Ratcliffe has been described as a staunch conservative. He's been described as a Trump loyalist. So that's why you have some people saying that his